Namaste. Rahu in the 7th house is not always negative. If Rahu is in the 7th house in your ascendant chart and also in the moon chart, the 7th house lord is afflicted. And on top of that, if you are going to run through Rahu Mahadasha, then definitely at some stage you will face severe problems in your marriage. Rahu in 7th house signify problems to the partner or problems from the partner. But the whole focus is on the partner. In this podcast, I have talked on Rahu in 7th house. It is kind of an overview just to give you an idea that what is going to come if you have Rahu in the 7th house. If in the Chalita Kundali, Rahu is moving away from the 7th house in the 8th or 6th house, then the problem may not arise. But if in the Chalita chart also Rahu remains in the 7th house, in the ascendant chart anyhow it is in the 7th house, and on top of that moon chart 7th house is also afflicted, and on top of that Venus, which is the main signifier of marriage, is afflicted, then definitely problems in marriage is for sure. So let's begin with this podcast. I'm sure many of you will learn new insights through this podcast. So let's begin. Seventh is sex. Let this be very clear. But we live in the human world, and so along with sexual union comes the union of two families, which we call marriage. So 7th house lordship is also of importance. 7th sublord is also of importance. 7th house placement in Chalita Kundali is also important. 7th house aspects are also important. The 7th in D9 chart is also important. So you see, just by asking what will Rahu in the 7th house lead to is like asking how the honeymoon is going to be. You cannot know. No one can help you with the answer because there are so many factors that are going to play their role in shaping the experience of a good or bad honeymoon. So let us not generalize, but since you have asked, I am not going to disappoint you, for the only reason that many people have many wrong ideas about Rahu in the 7th house. So maybe this answer can help clear some clouds of darkness, ignorance. Rahu in 7th provides you with a very intellectual life partner. The native is interested to get married, but for a certain reason. Shocked? Don't be. In one of my visits to the US, I met a young lady in my office. Somehow she happened to be an ardent believer of astrology. So she approached me with her birth chart, and her question was very straightforward. She said, I want my ex-boyfriend back. For a few days, I have not been in touch with him, but I want to see if I can get him back. I asked why, and she said, because I want to have kids and he is my best option. This woman had Rahu in 7th house. Some objective is always in play, either money, property, fame, easy accessibility to luxuries, or as in this case, children. Now why this happens? Rahu is your desire, your obsession in 7th. You are obsessed to find a perfect partner who can help you achieve your dreams, your desires, your selfish motives. The word is perfect partner. And so Rahu in 7th house often delays marriage because Rahu is that selfish desire that wants a partner who can serve the purpose perfectly. Many times you also see men and women who have had many sexual experiences and pleasures, but still they never marry because they never found that perfect partner. There was a man who remained unmarried his whole life, and when he was dying, somebody asked him, "You have remained unmarried your whole life, but you have never told what the reason was. Now you are dying, at least quench our curiosity. If there is any secret, you can tell it now because you are dying. You will be gone. Even if the secret is known, it can't harm you." The man said, "Yes, there is a secret. It is not that I am against marriage, but I was searching for a perfect woman. I searched, and my whole life slipped by." The inquirer asked, "But upon this big earth, with so many millions of people, half of them women, couldn't you find one perfect woman?" Tear rolled down from the eye of the dying man. His eyes became wet. He said, "Yes, I did find one." The inquirer was absolutely shocked. He said, "Then what happened? Why didn't you get married?" And the old man said, "But the woman was searching for a perfect husband." So you see, this is how Rahu 7 is. It simply makes you obsessed towards finding a perfect husband or a perfect wife. Here one gets obsessed with perfection. Often the native is looking for perfection in his or her partner, and a man who is behind perfection is already on his way to hell. In life, only mad people ask for perfection. The perfectionist is another name for someone who is getting ready to become mad. Perfectionism is a neurosis, and the more you try to become perfect, the more frustrated you will become. The goal of perfection has led the whole of humanity towards madness. The earth has almost become a madhouse. Be whole, be total, but don't think about perfection. Rahu in 7th is a perfect representation of a man chasing for a perfect partner, and the result is disastrous. The native with 7th Rahu is happy when he finds that perfect girl with a perfect figure. When she talks, he feels as if she is singing. When she smiles, he feels as if the whole world is smiling. When she walks, he feels as if she is no less than Miss Universe. And so he jumps on his horse and finally gets married. And then the real picture begins. Somebody asked, "Then what was that?" That was just a trailer. And trailers are always very catchy, very attractive. Else who will come to watch the movie? So Rahu in 7th native often feels deceived. And no one is to blame but his own madness for perfection, his own ignorance, his own foolishness, his own strong desires for having a sexy wife or a sexy husband. Sex is enjoyed, but the cost of the sexual union is far more painful than those few hours that he enjoys in the bed. But Rahu 7th is not done. He never realizes his or her own mistakes. And so the next thing is to start with is the blame game. And this blame game either separates the couple or they never trust each other and yet remain together to safeguard their comfortable family life. And an unhappy married life is a perfect setting for a shady extramarital affair. So Rahu 7, if other aspects are negative, gets involved with that other woman or other man. Rahu 7 remains an ignorant fool who goes on blaming the whole world for his own foolishness. And that is the greatest tragedy of Rahu 7 person. In fact, this ignorance towards partner, business or sexual partner leads this man to many miseries than otherwise. Always remember, if you suffer, it is because of you. If you feel blissful, it is because of you. Nobody else is responsible, only you and you alone. You are your hell and you are your heaven too. But Rahu 7 never understands this. He or she goes through many breakups, divorces, and yet they never realize that it was always them and not the other person to be blamed for their miserable marriage or partnerships or relationships. However, Rahu 7 definitely gives good sexual pleasures. Why? Because Rahu is your desire, and such a person is born with a strong desire to satisfy his immense, over obsessive sexual desire. Desires to have more and more sex, to have all the fun in the bed. And since human birth lets you satisfy your desires, Rahu in 7th house provides you with sexual experiences, good or bad, that depends on the placement of Mars and 7th house lordship. Rahu never stops. The old saying is, I don't stop when I am tired, I stop when I am done. But Rahu just never stops. Mars or a Martian will stop when it is done, but Rahu goes on and on and on. Neither his sexual needs are satisfied, nor his habit of chasing for all the glittering, shining stuff stops. He just goes on and on till one day he drops down dead and then is taken to the graveyard just to restart his quest for the deeper sexual needs for the next life. That life, human or animal, depends on the quality of his or her karma. If other aspects support, then you also see a henpecked husband who never goes beyond the word of his wife. He becomes so much obsessed with his wife that it becomes a danger to the existence of his mother, because when he would never listen to his mother but only his wife. So Rahu in 7th brings many sexual desires. The person is obsessed with sex. I have examined charts of many young boys and girls who have become sexually active too early compared to their counterparts. Last week, a man with Rahu 7 asked a good question. He asked, how can I fulfill my desires, sexual and material? And the answer is found in the following words. The moment you become aware of your desires, you can easily see that no desire can ever be fulfilled. Rahu 7, the person should definitely meditate, for this is the only way towards experiencing a much rewarding life, a life that is no more obsessive of a certain desire, but free from all desires. The key to overcoming the strong sexual desires of this placement is in becoming more and more aware, conscious of yourself. And the way towards consciousness, towards awareness, towards self realization is through meditation. Meditate. Find out your own center first. Before you can relate with somebody else, relate with yourself. That is the basic requirement to be fulfilled. Without it, nothing is possible. With it, nothing is impossible. Planetary placement is one thing, and your own willpower is the other dimension of your life. With strong willpower, you certainly can raise the level of your consciousness, your awareness, and when awareness comes, you are no more the same. Everything around you is the same, but you are no more the same. You have arrived, you have found your peace. Meditate, pray, eat, sleep. Let your life be more like a poem, like a song. Let joy be the only answer to all your questions. The greater the consciousness, the greater is the joy of your life. Meditate. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः।